before we start, don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more stories like this one. When my wife, Emily, began coming home late from work, I didn't think much of it. She was always driven, a marketing executive climbing the corporate ladder with fire in her eyes. I admired that about her, the hunger, the focus. She told me she was working on a big campaign with a coworker named Ryan, and honestly, I was proud of how hard she was pushing herself. But somewhere between the endless overtime and the untouched dinners, her tone changed. She used to text me pictures from her desk, takeout boxes, coffee cups, little wish-you-were-here messages. Then one day, those stopped. At first, I brushed it off as stress. Everyone burns out eventually. But soon, she started wearing perfume again, the same one she used on our anniversary trips. She began keeping her phone close, angling it away whenever a notification popped up. Still, I told myself, trust her, don't turn paranoid. Until that Friday night, she walked in close to midnight, heels in hand, hair messy like she just stepped through a storm. I sat in the kitchen, pretending to read on my laptop. When she saw me, she froze. "Hey," she said with a forced smile. "You're still up?" "Couldn't sleep," I replied, my eyes flicking to the phone in her grip. "How's work?" She shrugged and dropped her bag on the counter. "Just the usual. Ryan and I had to finish a presentation. You know how demanding he gets." I smiled faintly, but something inside me broke right there. "Funny," I said quietly. "His wife doesn't think he's been working that late." Her face drained of color. "What?" I closed the laptop, the sound echoing in the kitchen like a verdict. "You heard me." She just stood there, mouth slightly open, searching for a lie that might still work. "Daniel, what are you even talking about?" "I had coffee with Ryan's wife this morning," I said evenly. She had no idea her husband's been pulling late nights too. Silence. The air between us turned sharp. "You think I'm cheating on you?" she finally said. "I don't think," I answered. "I just know when something's not right. You've changed. You smile less here, but you laugh more when you're looking at your phone. You don't look at me like you used to, like I was home." Tears welled up, but I couldn't feel sympathy. "Not yet. It's not what you think," she whispered. "Then tell me what it is," I said. Her lips trembled. "It started as work, Daniel. I didn't plan it. But he understood me. He listened when you were distant. I was lonely." That word hit harder than I expected. I thought of all the nights I stayed late at my job to fund her dreams, the vacations, the house, the mornings I brought her coffee in bed. I never imagined she could feel lonely in the middle of all that. I nodded slowly, so he filled the silence. She looked away. It wasn't supposed to go this far. How far did it go? Her silence said enough. I took a deep breath. The anger didn't come loud. It came quietly, like a tide that had been rising for months. "You know," I said softly, "I wasn't perfect either, but I never stopped trying." "You did." "Daniel, please," she began, but I raised a hand. "No, don't apologize just to make yourself feel better. You said it was just work." Maybe it was, but it stopped being so a long time ago. For the first time in years, she had no words. I walked past her, grabbed my jacket, and paused at the door. "Ryan's wife deserves to know everything," I said. "So do I." Then I left, quietly, the same way love had slipped out of our marriage months earlier. The night air hit me like truth, cold, sharp, and undeniable. I didn't drive anywhere at first. I just sat there in the car, staring at the empty street, trying to remember when I stopped recognizing the woman I loved. The house behind me glowed softly through the curtains. From the outside, it looked peaceful, but peace had been gone for a long time. I didn't go to a hotel or a friend's place. Instead, I drove to the lake we used to visit when we were still new, when silence between us felt comforting, not hollow. I parked by the water, rolled the windows down, and let the stillness wash over me. My phone buzzed twice. Both messages from her. "Please come home. We can talk." "I'm sorry, Daniel. Please." I stared at the screen, but didn't answer. I'd spent years trying to fix things she pretended weren't broken. Tonight, She could sit in the silence she built. I didn't sleep. When morning came, I went back, not to fight, not to forgive, just to gather what was left of me. She was on the couch, eyes red, hair tied back loosely. The coffee table was covered in tissues. When she saw me, she stood too quickly, desperate. "Daniel, please." "I'm just here for my things," I said quietly. She nodded, but her voice cracked. "Let me explain. I made a mistake, a horrible one, but I never wanted to hurt you." I looked around the room. The framed photos, the faint trace of her perfume, the life we'd built together. "You didn't want to hurt me," I said softly. "You just didn't care if you did." That landed like a knife. She broke down again, sobbing into her hands. I almost felt something, pity maybe, but pity isn't love. It's what remains when love's been starving too long. As I packed my bags, she kept talking, half-truths, guilt, broken apologies. "I ended it," she cried. "It's over. He means nothing. Please, we can go to counseling. We can fix this." I looked at her, not with love, but as if she were a stranger I used to know deeply. "Counseling can't rebuild respect," I said. "You can repair a house after a storm, but once the foundation cracks, it's never the same." She reached out, but I stepped back. "Daniel, you can't just walk away from everything." I met her eyes. "You walk away first. You just did it slowly enough that you thought I wouldn't notice." The room went still, the kind of stillness that happens before something breaks for good. Then she whispered, almost too softly to hear, "I didn't think you'd find out." That was it, the final nail. I zipped my bag, slung it over my shoulder, and turned at the door. "You said it was just work." I told her. "Now it's just over." And I left. A week passed, no calls, no messages. I stayed in a small apartment downtown. The first few nights were rough. Too much silence, too much space. But by the fourth day, something shifted. I wasn't angry anymore. Just done. Later that week, Ryan's wife, Claire, called me. We talked for an hour, not about revenge, but healing. She told me she'd left him too. "Funny," she said bitterly. "They both called it work." We laughed. Not because it was funny, but because sometimes laughter is the only sound left after surviving the same storm. Months passed. Papers were signed. I moved into a smaller place closer to my job. I started running again, cooking for myself, learning how to enjoy quiet instead of fearing it. Every now and then, I thought about Emily, the good years, the laughter, the plans. But then I'd remember that night in the kitchen, her perfume, her silence, and the moment the truth spoke louder than love. One evening, I drove by that lake again. The water was still, reflecting the city lights in perfect calm. For the first time in years, I didn't feel like something was missing. I just felt free. And maybe that's what real closure looks like. Not rage, not revenge, not an apology that finally comes. Just peace. The kind you give yourself when you stop waiting for someone else to fix what they broke.